I don't know if there we go. Hello. Welcome to Gathering. I'm going to ask Tyler Kimmerer and Olivia Malum to come up to the stage. How many of y'all are going on spring break mission trips next week? Can you get a shout out? Can we get those people to stand? If you're going out, we've got 395 students going out on spring break mission trips. Yeah, let's recognize those folks. And a part of this community is really celebrating these moments and rejoicing over moments like this. And Olivia is a sophomore from White House, Tennessee. Does that work? Now we are.
Wait, give me 3 seconds, it'll turn on. They should be good.
All right, now we got it. Olivia Malham, welcome her to the stage. Sophomore from White House, Tennessee, and you're going on one of these trips, Olivia. Where are you going?
I am going to Saba. We leave Friday morning.
All right. And have you ever been out of the country before?
I have over Christmas break to Nicaragua.
Okay, so get this, 2 mission trips in the space of just a few months. First time ever out of the United States. Why would you do something like this?
I really felt like God was calling me to step outside of my comfort zone. I feel like I grew up in this bubble, and I have such a desire to serve and to work with children, and I felt like God was calling me to do that through missions, through serving other communities.
Thank you, Olivia. And what I wanted you to hear is we've got 395 students going out, and these are just people just like you that felt the call of God in their lives, and they're going to be going to 16, I think, different nations, about a half a dozen domestic trips. And Tyler Kimmerer, who is our director of the missions program, is going to pray over these students right now, if you would, Tyler.
Let's bow your heads and pray together. Father God, Lord in heaven, you are bigger than we can imagine. Your reach is across the globe. Your spirit is moving around the world. God, I want to pray for students, faculty, staff, alumni, friends of Lipscomb who are all committing this next week to go and serve, to serve in your name, to love other people, to provide healing, to build things, to connect with people. God, you have plans that you've been preparing that we're not aware of. I pray that everyone who's going would be looking and seeking your will on the trip, and just being aware that you are working, that you are connecting. Lord, I'm grateful for everyone of our spring break from the Lipscomb community. Help us all to keep in mind that you mean for us all to be missional every day. Help us to connect with our family and friends and share our faith any way that we can. God, your kingdom come, your will be done. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Tyler, and thank you, Olivia. So when we think about community, we rejoice with those who rejoice, we weep with those who weep. It has been an amazing week and a lot of amazing things going on, but also some challenging things going on. Saturday morning, I was at a ball game, and I got a text from my good buddy, Kent Gallagher, and most of y'all know Dr. G. If you went to any of our presidential scholarships things, or give G a little love there. So G found out this weekend he's got a tumor in his left kidney, and he's going to have that removed on Thursday. And as shocking as that sounds, I got to spend some time with G last night, and he sees it as good news, and he's given praise to God, because had he not had just a kind of a random incident over the weekend, he would not have found out that he had that tumor in his kidney. And typically it would just be silent there until it was stage 3 or stage 4. They found it at stage 1 without any metastasizing, without anything in his lymph nodes. And so it's the best case scenario, as shared with me by a guy who really knows what a good case scenario or bad case scenario would be, the guy who teaches this to everybody. And so I want to lift up my friend G in prayer. I asked him yesterday, I said, "What's your favorite food?" He said, "Barbecue." And so I took him some barbecue last night. My wife said, "Can he eat that?" I said, "He can till Thursday." And so he ate him some barbecue last night, and I want to ask all y'all to keep him in your prayers. But let's bow together and remember G in prayer right now. God, you're good, and you are always at work. And God, we're so thankful for that. And even in the midst of a very scary weekend for a man a lot of us love, and a man who's made a real footprint in this community, we're grateful that he found this early. And God, we just give you credit for that and praise for that. And Father, I just lift up Dr. G, that you would completely bring healing to him, that you would help everything to go well in his surgery on Thursday, that there would be no more evidence of disease, and that he would recover well and quickly, and that we as a community could be as supportive and loving and helpful to him as we can be during this time. And God, I just pray for every one of us that you would give us eyes to see and ears to hear, and a realization of the 3,000 plus stories that are happening on this campus every day, and just our undergraduates, and the literally tens of thousands multiplied stories in the family that is Lipscomb. God, give us sensitivity to all the things that are going on, to the good and the bad, the high water marks, and help us to really come together and be a community that reflects your kingdom. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. A lot of good things, and we're going to watch a little bit of video about some of the good things that are going on, and then your AD, Philip Hutcheson, is going to come and tell you a little bit about the context of this week.
And in case you didn't catch it there from the video, we've had a lot of good things going on this week, and we'll talk a little bit more about those in just a second. But the thing that we wanted to point out here is we've got another big game coming up tomorrow night in the semifinals of the ASUN tournament. Our women's team, who's the number 4 seed, totally demolished USC Upstate here. If you're at the game, it was a tremendous, they set the record. The biggest margin of victory ever in an ASUN tournament game. They beat the number 5 seed USC team, and they're going back to, ironically enough, Florida Gulf Coast University to play them tomorrow night in the semifinals, and in hopes of going to the NCAA tournament. And it's not the first time that the women would go. They went in 2003. They were our first ever team when we made the transition to go to the NCAA tournament. So they're trying to bookend that and go again this year if at all possible. And I just wanted to share for just a second with you. A lot of you are, I don't know how old all of you were in 1999. I guess I could do the math, but some of you weren't even here maybe in 1999. But that was the year Lipscomb made the decision to go to Division I, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. And when we made that decision, I know there were quite a few people who said, how possibly could this kind of proverbial David against the Goliaths ever hope to make a transition like that? And in 2003, we were first fully eligible for NCAA tournament play. So again, I don't know how old you were then, but I tell people all the time, we're really just a teenager in terms of a program in NCAA competition. And yet, in that time, if you just look up around here when the lights come on at some point later in the day, you'll see that we've had our men's soccer team who just went to the NCAA tournament for the first time. Yeah, right. Our men and women's cross-country team who have won combined, I think it's like maybe 12 conference championships and gone to the NCAA a number of times. Our softball team has made it all the way to the round of 32 in the NCAA tournament. They've been more than once. Thank you. Yep. Our baseball team has been to the NCAA tournament a couple of times. Most recently, I think in 2015, if I remember right, they played here in the Vanderbilt Regional. And then our golf team as well made it all the way to the national championship this past year. They made it all the way there. And so we've had a lot of teams, and I don't want to forget finally, because they have as many numbers up there as anybody, our volleyball team, 7 out of the last 11 years have gone to the NCAA tournament. So fantastic. But probably the banner that I like the most of all those is the one that's up here, and it's the one that says in the last 4 years in a row we've won the All Academic Award, meaning we had the best student athletes among the conference as well, and reflecting like just many of you as well are great students. So our goal is to be the number one Christian Division I program in the nation. Just like in so many other areas, whether it's Dr. G's area with biology, whether it's business, whether it's the entertainment and the arts, in so many places that we have had not just regional but national recognition for being able to combine, in our case, not just competitive and not just Christian, but both of those, to be able to combine whatever discipline you're in and be able to excel in that. That's our goal, and we really want to reflect what the university is about in that way. And so that's been our goal, and it will continue to be our goal, and we're making great progress. And we hope on behalf of the university that we're serving as I would say, an effective front porch to the university so that people, see that. And here we are now at the most recent moment we've had, and in just a second I'm going to call the coach up, but here we are at the most recent moment we've had with our team for the first time in Lipscomb's, I guess, depending on when the birthday actually is, 126 years, the first time we've ever made the big dance, NCAA March Madness, which is a tremendous accomplishment. Last year in the first round tournament, the 12 million people on average watched a first round game, and 80 million people streamed it through. A lot of people weren't working on those weekends. They're streaming it through their computers. 1 out of every 4 people in America watched the first round tournament last weekend, and that's the moment that our team is going to have coming up here in just about a week. And so without further ado, I think he's got a little hardware here. I want to welcome the head coach of the men's basketball team, the 2018 ASUN champ, Casey Alexander.
I don't generally carry things this heavy around everywhere that I go, but wanted you to see the actual hardware itself there, and it's awesome to be back. It's been an incredible 36 hours or so for our team and our staff, hopefully everybody affiliated with Lipscomb. Last Tuesday I stood up here because we were getting ready to host a semifinal game, and I was asking for your support because of what could happen if you showed up and you helped us with a home game against Jacksonville last Thursday. And you did your part. We had an unbelievable crowd. We had a lot of students. We had a lot of people that put in a lot of hard work. And then our guys did their jobs, and we hammered Jacksonville pretty good and set up a championship game down at FGCU in Fort Myers on Sunday. That'll be life-changing for a lot of the guys who participated in that event. It was not easy. We talked about the women and their record-breaking margin of victory, right? 40 whatever. We almost set the record-breaking margin of lead lost in a championship game. We had an unbelievable first half. It went about as flawless as a coach could ever want it to go. And carried a nice little margin into the halftime with us. I think we got up as much as 32 that they eventually cut down to 5. But to complete the story at the end of the day, in front of a nice turnout of family and friends that were there, as well as cheerleaders who made the trip, who I want to say before I forget, worked their tails off all year on our behalf. Get virtually no credit. We appreciate you guys more than you'll ever know. And then a collection of students and some staff members that bust down. That's a tough bus ride, I tell you. But bust down, stayed in Gainesville, went to the game, bust all the way back. So an unbelievable 150, 250 people on the floor with us after the game when we're celebrating this ASUN championship, a remarkable moment that we want to thank everybody in here for. It was really a special time. And this hardware and this net is just symbolic, or I guess a visual understanding to provide you with exactly where we are. But we understand one thing real clearly. Even though It's our championship, and these guys earned it, and we're the ones who were on TV that day. It's clearly not about us. And even though I'm the leader of this team, there's only one leader in this university. And so on behalf of our team, I want to call up Dr. Lowry and give him the trophy that he rightfully deserves for all that he does for us. Thanks, Dr. Lowry.
Thank you.
I will also say, before we go too far, he's a little more serious than I am. I'm one of the few people that ever get man hugs from Dr. Lowry. It's really an awesome thing when your president grabs you with that one arm. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Casey. We are so absolutely proud of you. And we know that this is something that you have worked really, really hard at. In fact, none of you were there the day that I interviewed Casey in the family room at my house. Do you remember that?
Very clearly, yes.
Casey, well, a couple of things happened, but Casey was coming from Stetson University in our conference, and we were looking for a basketball coach, having made the difficult decision that we needed to make a change, and we had not done well for several years. And Casey was looking at, well, either an opportunity or a challenge, and probably both of those. But remember, we sat there at that table in the dining room, and you were on one side, I was on the other, and we were just talking. Go back 5 years and tell me what you were really thinking.
I was a nervous wreck is what I was really thinking. I'm sitting in front of the president at his home, and I'm knowing the deal is sealed as long as I don't mess this thing up. That's what I was thinking. But here, I saw such unbelievable potential in this place. I identified very clearly with what this place is all about, and I wanted the chance to do exactly what we're standing up here on this stage today, and that is celebrate not a championship, but what the championship can do for this university and everybody involved.
You'll recall that day that my grandson was there. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
He was about 5 or 6 years old. And he was there because I wanted him to meet the new coach at Lipscomb. I was confident we'd get through the interview. My grandson said, well, where's he from? And you'd gone by then, I think. And I looked at Weston and I said, well, he's from Stetson University, but he's really from Belmont. And my grandson just had this forlorn look on his face. And he said, Granddad, how could you ever hire a coach from Belmont? And I was puzzled as to why I could ever or would ever do that, trying to come up with something. And I came up with this. I said, well, Weston, he's going to bring us all their secrets. And Weston understood they had done well. Casey had been the coach there for 16 years as an assistant coach. And they are a rival up the street. In fact, we wouldn't have met each other, but we first came in contact at East Tennessee, the time that Belmont beat Lipscomb in the overtime finals of that. So here you are coming down the street, I guess, to a different institution and bringing, though, a tremendous heritage of basketball. What are some of the values you wanted to reflect at Lipscomb when you became the coach?
One primary and immediate response that I would have to that is I wanted to lead a team that was made up of guys who were a great reflection of you. I wanted a team that when you cross paths on campus or in the classroom, that they represented you well and they were one of you. And that sounds simple, but that's not always the case in athletics. It's definitely not always the case in our sport. But that was very important to us that, you know, as competitive as we wanted to be, as Hutch mentioned, you know, we also wanted to reflect well on you and everybody else with everything that we did, which we knew was also going to be a process at the time. And some of that's just the nature of job change, but I stand here today and I could not be more proud. Even though we have the trophy here, we've got 3 straight seasons with a team GPA over a 3.0. We've got people that are graduating and moving on to very successful places. We've got a lot of good pats on the back that we don't need for pats on the back, but some affirmation that things are going the way that we would want them to. And the vision that we wanted you to have for our program, I think, is coming into its own a little bit.
And you took the program. You've done a great job with it. I was able to take you guys to a steak dinner the other night in Fort Myers. You know, there's a story there, too. The first restaurant we called, I think they weren't quite sure what to do with the basketball team and not sure how they might be treated and treat others. You guys were class. And I was so proud of you. I'd take you anywhere. And I would have you represent well this institution. Well, let's give it up for our coach, Casey Alexander.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
You're staying up for that. Yeah. And let me just say one thing about the game, and then I want to have a group of students come up here because, as Casey's already said, this is not for the president. It is for 36,000 alumni. It is for 6,000 students. It is for a faculty and staff and all who support this. But before I say that, I want you to know I had lunch with a priest the other day. Kind of an unusual moment. 85-year-old or so priest, very popular here in Nashville, wonderful guy. And I asked him if it was okay to pray to win a basketball game. We talked about great theology all during lunch, and I said, is it okay to pray to win a game? And he looked back at me and tried to think about all of his training at the Vatican or wherever and tried to figure out what would be right. And he was kind of paused by it, but he finally said, yeah, go ahead and pray. And so I prayed, and I don't think that has a thing to do with the game. I don't think God probably works that way. But there are a lot of people that are thinking about this good moment we've had. Really for the students, really for you, as Casey would say, it's your team. I'd like to invite our student government officers to come up and in a symbolic way accept this trophy on behalf of the student body and to celebrate this moment.
Appreciate it, y'all. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good to see you. Glad to have you here, Mr. President. How are you? How are you? So, Casey, why don't we get in this picture? And let's let them symbolize all of you. And let's be thankful for this great moment. Way to go. And I think we have a video that will take you to Fort Myers, Florida, and the excitement of this game. Thank you all for coming up.
Keep it going if you don't mind, and help me welcome your 2018 A-Sun champions right here. Come on, boys. We appreciate it. It is, it's a real honor, honestly, to stand up here in front of you and recognize these guys for their accomplishment. We appreciate the literal and figurative platform that we have to do so on your behalf. And I want to give you a little perspective because, as our AD says, things really just don't happen by magic. We talk a lot about not relying on hope or circumstance to dictate our steps and having a plan to go out and make things happen on our own. In the locker room, that video that you couldn't hear, we talked about a couple of things. One, love the moment. Live in the moment. Understand it's a big moment. That's the first thing. Second thing, understand that it's just any other game. You do exactly what you've done all year long. That alone will take care of itself. All right, and that's what these guys did. But prior to that, these guys spend about 8 weeks here in the summer. All right, that's how they spend their summer vacation, lifting, practicing, working really hard in the summer. They get a couple of days at fall break. They get 3 days at Thanksgiving break. I think we had 4 days at Christmas break. So there's a lot that goes into it that in this moment, I want them to clearly understand that it's all worth it, right, boys? All worth it, right? But it really does take a lot of hard work and hard effort. We've got assistant coaches up here that are hanging out in the back, which is where they probably think they rightfully deserve. Raise your hands. Guys that do way more of the nuts and bolts than I ever would, could, or should. And I want to recognize them for their hard work and their significant contribution to this team and to this university. We've got 3 seniors. We've got a collection of people up here, a couple of managers. It takes everybody. No doubt it takes everybody to make something like this happen. And I also want to reiterate a little bit what Hutch said about the other teams. We don't stand here with any more privilege than anybody who is on these banners above us, all right? We don't work harder than men's soccer or women's golf or volleyball or anybody else, all right? Our championship is no more worthy than theirs is, all right? But we do also recognize, as he mentioned, that there's 80 million people that are going to watch March Madness, okay? So that's the opportunity that we have to represent you and to represent Lipscomb literally to the entire world. Not as a pat on the back. I've been on ESPN national broadcast radio 3 times already. All right. On Sunday, CBS TV is going to be here to help us celebrate the selection show. It's priceless for what this can do for Lipscomb. And that's the reason why we're thrilled to represent you. That's the reason why this is a big deal. Not because it's more meaningful, but just because more people are watching. And so I thank you again, as much as I possibly can, for allowing us to do this with you. I brought them up here because I wanted them to be recognized, all right? But that's not the main reason. The main reason is because I wanted them to have a more clear and visible picture of why they're up here. And it's because of the people that they're looking at right now and thousands more who care about Lipscomb. All right, and as much as we're going to receive a lot of glory over these next 7 to 10 days or however long this thing lasts, all right, I want them to clearly see it's not about us. It's about the baseball team and your awesome reaction and your awesome concern for that game that was playing in the back hallway when your game finished on Sunday. It's about the people that were in the Hall of Fame room, hundreds strong, watching the game, cheering, excited about what was going on. It's about those crazy nuts that were driving around the parking lot in the trucks. I don't even know who you are, but it's about you guys. It's about you guys. And so many more. That all kind of it culminates now, but the best picture, last night when we got home from Fort Myers, it was 11 o'clock. It had been a long, long day. And we're driving on the bus back from the airport. Guys are ready to get back and just veg out a little bit. And I got back on the bus. I said, hey, there's some folks waiting on you. And I literally thought it would be a couple of handfuls. First of all, we were late. Second of all, it was kind of rainy. And then I just didn't know what kind of reception that we would get. But we pull up to the circle out front, and there's hundreds of you, not just here, but hundreds of you enthusiastically waiting for our return. Could not have been a better reception, could not have been a better reminder to these guys about what it's all about. And that's all of us together, all right, all the time. And we're grateful, again, to have the chance to do our part to reflect a little bit of light on you guys and on Lipscomb. So thanks so much. We really do appreciate it. I've got one more person to call to the stage, and that's Luke Shoulders. Luke, yep. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was one of those nuts that rode the bus down there. But, we're turning it over to you because it really is not ours. It's yours.
Oh, well, thanks for saying that, Coach. Honestly, that Bus, yeah, as you can tell, I have no voice still because that game was nuts. But it wouldn't be possible for us to have such a great experience. Literally one of the greatest experiences of my life was just going down on that bus ride, hanging out with the 18 people that we had, 18 students, and then some extras on the bus. If it weren't for these guys just going out there playing their hearts out and ended up winning that championship for us, it's so great. Hold up, I gotta look at my notes. Also, as we continue on, I know next year and the year after that, when we're going to be playing in the NCAA tournament each year, whether it be in LA or Boise or some other far-off place, either Omaha, we won't just have dozens filling the bus, but we'll have hundreds, nay, thousands filling our buses with Lipscomb students going crazy, baby, going crazy. So I really want to thank you guys for being out here, doing your job and continuing to make it a fun environment for us as a student body, so that we can cheer you on and y'all represent us very well. And then just have some final announcements to make. Once again, tomorrow at 6 p.m., the girls are playing against FGCU to make it to the finals of the ASUN conference tournament. So best of luck to them. We'll cheer them on from home, just as y'all did representing, cheering them from home as well. And then also, once again, this Sunday at 5 p.m. on TBS, there will be a showing of the selection show, and we'll have a party, and it'll be a blast just seeing where we land up. Hopefully, whether you're on a mission trip wherever, we can feel your support from wherever. So we're super excited, and we'll dance our way out of this chapel. You can leave as this video plays.